Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Lagos government urges workers to rethink planned strike. That's our hot topic right now. The Lagos state government has called on labor unions in the state-owned broadcasting stations to reconsider their planned strike scheduled for January 13, 2025, which is today. The unions, including the NUJ and Ratewu, are demanding that their members be migrated to the mainstream civil service. In a statement issued on Saturday, the Commissioner for Establishments and Training, Afolabi Ayantayo, urged the workers to seek an amicable resolution instead of resorting to industrial action. The government acknowledged that discussions had taken place between union representatives and government officials led by the Commissioner of Establishments and Training on January 8, 2025. During the meeting, it was agreed that the union's request would be presented to the Lagos State Executive Council for further consideration. However, the government emphasized that the process of entering the civil service is governed by established policies and procedures. In light of these ongoing discussions, the Lagos state government urged the unions to reconsider their strike action and allow for peaceful resolution to the dispute. The government remains committed to addressing the workers' concerns through dialogue and proper channels, aiming to avoid any disruptions. Now, joining us this morning is Jide Johnson, is a Public Affairs Analyst to discuss this. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Good morning and good day to all of you all over the world. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining. All right, so we're talking about planned strike. Lagos state government doesn't think it's a good idea. Of course, they would not, because they would be losing money if people go on strike. But in this case, what is your opinion about this? They're saying they want to be moved into the mainstream civil service. Should it take that long? What's going on? What's your take on this?
I think it's a discriminatory practice on the part of the government to take an important sector which has to do with the information management of the state government activity, as well as the platform for Lagosians to express their views concerning various aspects of governance at all levels, whether local, federal, or state, for them not to be part and parcel of the mainstream civil service. And then it's just the broadcasting sector. It does not happen with the printing corporation. Lagos State has the printing corporation. Why is the printing corporation also part of the mainstream civil service? And then why do you have discrimination among people working for the government? So as far as I'm concerned, it's something which the government should have addressed, because this agitation did not start now. To my knowledge, this agitation started more than 50 years ago. Now, if you take 15 years ago to deal with an issue, once an issue is not attended to, it will lead to crisis. Now, it shouldn't have gotten even to this stage with these people threatening to go on strike for government to intervene in this particular matter. It has to do with funding. It has to do with career progression of people that have been employed in those various organizations. And it has also to do with the headship of these various organizations. So if you deep down into this issue, you will discover that the staff of the broadcasting outfit of Lagos state government deserve a better treatment than what they are being given presently.
So now that they are ready to take the bull by the horn, it seems like, you guys are doing too much, or that shouldn't be the way to go. You've said that it's a discriminatory, action, one. Two, it has taken so long, about 15 years for this, and of course, nothing has been done. But maybe they've had conversations, because according to what we've heard, according to reports, it says that they had a discussion on the 8th of January. At this point, do you think there's any chance to have a proper resolution with this without going on an industrial action?
Now, the government requires the various broadcast organizations owned by the state government to generate its revenue, to pay salaries. However, the government, most of the time, if not all of the times, make use of private media organization as the platform through which they propagate their programs and their activity. You recall last week, the governor of Lagos State went to commission a privately owned media organization. And I tweeted to one of his aides, posted the tweet, I think it was last week, Monday, and I said, I hope the governor will make the kind of investment that this private media organization made to open their own offices in Atlantic City in Lagos. They made such investment in LTV8 They make it in Eco FM, in Radio Lagos, and the rest of it. Look, if you grew up, if you are within my generation, the golden age of what we call broadcasting in Nigeria was associated with LTV8, with their Lagos Weekend Television.
Yes.
In actual sense, they started the 24 weekend, 48 hours 48 hours non-stop broadcasting in the 80s and in the 90s. Now, if successive government in Lagos State had made the kind of investment Babaja Konde made on the broadcast stations that you have in Lagos State, I can tell you that they can compete with any broadcast station in Africa and in the world. But government left them alone to thrive on their own, for them to fund themselves. Whereas if government should use this broadcast organization as a platform through which they reach out to the citizens of Lagos and everybody in the world, I can tell you that they will have much more revenue. But government left them as an orphan and is on fear on them. And look at it from this other angle. Anytime there is the need for them to have the head of these various broadcast organizations, you know where they go and bring them? They will go and bring the headship from the mainstream ministry to come and head these various broadcast organizations. That means that if I join that broadcast organization, I cannot progress to become the head of these various organizations. Now, they also go to the mainstream ministry to bring the directors of finance, to bring the directors of administration. So it's discriminatory, and everybody ought to speak against it, because this cannot continue to go on. It's been going on for many, many years, and there has to be an end and a stop to it.
So what do you think is going to be a more effective approach? Because, of course, now they want to go on an industrial action, but what is going to be that effective approach to just have a proper resolution whereby there's no industrial action, everybody is, okay with whatever it is? So sitting down on the table and saying, these are our concerns, these are the things that we want. How do you think Lagos State needs to react to this right now?
It's very simple. The commissioner said it's based on rules.
Yeah,
rules
and processes.
Process guide procedure. So why can't you change the rules? It's basic. Migrate this set of staff into the mainstream civil service. Let them be. Are they staff of Lagos State government? Why are they not on the Oracle? Why are you allowing these media organizations to generate revenue for themselves to pay their salaries? Whereas other staffs in other agencies, their salaries are paid by government. They are part and parcel of the mainstream civil service. They can rise to the position of permanent secretary, to the position of head of service. However, if you are in this broadcast organization, you can never rise to become a permanent secretary, with the exception of one or two. And those who are based on political appointment and political patronage. That shouldn't be the rule, but the rule of the thumb. The rule of the thumb should be that once I join the Lagos State Broadcasting Network, I should have the opportunity of becoming permanent secretary in any ministry. Not limited to Ministry of Information. I can't even become a permanent secretary. I can't even become the GM of that organization, because over time, the GMs of these various media organizations owned by the state are brought from the mainstream ministry, which is antithetical to career progression and professional development of people working in this organization. So the simple fact is for government to migrate them, and it's just based on changing the rules. Rules are not made for man. It is man that made the rules, and man can change the rules to address situational problem. There's a problem at hand. There's an issue at hand. You can amend the rules to accommodate this set of people. The most permanent thing in life is change.
Yeah. Okay. So in, changing these rules and implementing, these new changes, how do they go about this? Is there a bill that needs to be passed to the, House of Assembly, or what happens? Because of course, I'm sure they cannot just up and say, okay, you know what, we're putting everybody here. How should they go about it to migrate these people? Does it need to go to the legislative arm of Lagos State?
Look, they can discuss that at the State Executive Council, and they gazette it. It becomes even the one that makes them to be not part of the mainstream civil service. Was it a rule that was passed by the State House of Assembly? No, it was a policy of the state government probably through the State Executive Council, working in court with the head of service and the various agencies of government, passing that, making that regulations, and that regulation, once it's gazetted, become part and parcel of the process and procedure through which career projection is achieved in these various broadcast organizations. So for me, this can be done through the office of the governor, using the instrumentality of the State Executive Council. And once they do that, and the head of service, working with the chief of staff to the governor and those that are concerned, we look at these rules, makes major amendment, and then once it is passed by the State Executive Council, it is gazetted. And what is gazetted, it becomes the rules that govern the civil service. So the rules governing the civil service, most of the time, does not even come from the State House of Assembly or from the National Assembly.
Okay, so with this, for instance, let's say there's no resolution made now. How is this going to impact, the economy of Lagos State and even the workers' morale? Because I'm sure all of them, want to be mainstream. They want to be part of the civil service. And if your mind has a lot going on, you cannot concentrate on the job that is at hand. So what's going to happen to the economy of Lagos State if these people decide to, go on that industrial action?
Well, for me, the optics is not good for the government. Don't let even talk about, don't let us even talk about the effect on the economy. The optics is not even good for the government. If the information arm, if the media arm of the government is saying something is wrong internally with the government, I think the government shouldn't have waited this long for them to address this particular issue. Look at it, a lot of people will lose confidence in the state government with respect to whatever the state government is saying concerning some certain issue, because if those that are meant to be your voice, to be your ears, to be your eyes, are saying something is wrong internally with the way you go about running the administration, then you know that it's not good for your image. And everything, image is everything. Perception is critical, because perception is what shapes public opinion. And public opinion invariably affect your image, either local or global image. And that it first affect people's confidence and trust in whatever you do, which invariably affects the economy which you are talking about. If Lagos is saying to be the center of excellence, if Lagos is saying is to be the largest economy in Africa, city that has the largest economy in Africa, and then people are saying something is wrong with what you are doing, I think the government needs to have a look at this, and we don't even need to get to this level for this particular issue to be addressed. Government needs to look into this matter, and then they address this particular issue. And I think that is internal politicking that is going on with concerning this thing. What stops government from making these people to be part and parcel of the mainstream civil service?
Okay, so maybe a lot of people don't even understand what's going on, right? How important are these media professionals, especially with the Lagos state government? Like, what is their role? Because a lot of people might just say, okay, yes, it's just media. Yeah, even if you're not mainstream, what does that have to do with anything? You're still going to be paid. But of course, like you said, there is no career progression. I don't even know if that's going to be pensionable enough for these people. And everybody wants a job that is pensionable. So what is the role of the media professionals? What role do they play? And would they play if they join the civil service?
Now, I'm not too sure, with the exception of FRCN, because of the multiplicity of stations that they have, that there's any radio station in Nigeria that has the name, the presence of Radio Lagos, for example, established by the Jakonde administration, in terms of reach, in terms of content delivery, or you also talk about Eko FM, or you talk about Lagos traffic. You can go on and on and on and talk about what role these various media organizations have played when it comes to informing, educating, and mobilizing the people towards government programs and activity. And so for me, it's critical for government to make the right investment in this. Beyond migrating these people, it's important for government to make the right investment. We say information is power. We say knowledge is power, but information is raw material for knowledge. An informed citizen is better than uninformed citizens. So basically, the government needs to give these stations the required period. I can tell you for a fact, because I carried out the research on behalf of one of the stations for free. in year 2019 and 2020, looking at how to reposition that organization. That's why I have background knowledge of what I'm talking about. Can you imagine a state government having a broadcast organization and 90% of the government media activity are taking place in privately owned media organization, where they themselves have broadcast organization established before these privately owned media organizations? It tells you what is going on. Government is taking its money, is taking it out, and it tells you some people within the system are making money from it. You can't. This is my personal opinion, based on my own personal investigation as a media researcher. Why would you have an information hub that you have, and you said they should be independent? And how often do you see the commissioners of Lagos, various commissioners of Lagos, going to Eco FM, going to Radio Lagos? How often have you seen the governor granting interview with LTV8 or going to Eco FM? When have they visited these various media organizations? They're just playing the ostrich. That's the truth. Look, it's very painful because, one, I'm a Lagosian. Two, because I belong to this industry. Three, because I knew how these media organizations were in the past, competing favorably with any media organizations in Nigeria, and they've been left on their own like an orphan. It's unfortunate.
I can hear the pain in your voice about this, because of course you're very passionate about it. You're public affairs analyst, but you're also in journalism. So it's almost like it's striking a chord in you. But if everybody is making their voices heard like this, I'm sure the people have made their voices heard. Why is Lagos State not doing the needful? Because it seems as though, from what you've said, it used to be better in the past. So it seems as though it has depleted over time. And of course, Lagos State is a key factor to that. If they're going over to private organizations, granting all the interviews there, neglecting the ones that are for the state, then how is that supposed to grow their own organization? So at this point, why is Lagos State taking so long to do this if they know? Because what I just asked previously was, of course, the role of these media professionals here in Lagos State. If they know that their role is important, and in this case, they're even saying, oh, please do not go on strike, we should be able to talk about it and what have you. If they know that this role is important, then why are they not doing the needful at the moment? What do you think is stopping them?
Well, you see, like I said, let me go back to what I said earlier. And taking a cue from what the statement released by the Commissioner for Labor and for Establishment and Training, saying that it's rules. It is rules that it's rules that make the government.
Of course, we know that. Of course, we know that. Excuse me, sir. Of course, we know that that's just him saying something. Let it not be that we're deciding not to. But what do you think could be the key issue here?
The key issue is very simple. Migrate these people into the mainstream civil service. Let them have career progression within the organizations that I can aspire the moment I join the organization. Look, where there's no aspiration, there's no motivation. And where there's no motivation, there can't be quality job performance. When I joined the organization freshly, I should be able to aspire that I can become the head of this organization. I should be able to aspire that if I do what I'm supposed to do, I conduct myself within the rules and regulations that governs the organization, and I deliver my optimal services, I should be able to get to the top. That should be the aspiration of anybody joining any organization. Now, that is destroyed when from the onset, no matter what I do, no matter what I put into the organization, one, I can never aspire to become the head of that organization. There is a glass ceiling. There is a ceiling on the career prospect of anybody joining this media organization. There is a ceiling to what they can become. Anybody joining any other ministry can aspire to become the head of service. Whereas for somebody that joined the media organization or owned by the state, he can never aspire to become the head of service. That is not good. That is limiting. That is discriminatory, and it should be frowned at. And I think that the staff are just taking it lightly with the government. I think that they should go to court and sue the government for class action. It was never like this before. Why should it be now?
Yeah.
Under various military administration. It was not like this under military administration. Look, it is not peculiar to Lagos alone. It is peculiar to all of the states, whereby you see our experiences when it comes to rules and procedure governing career progression has been politicized, even in the judiciary, every aspect of our life that has to do with the engine room of governance have become politicized. Is using politicization, is even using politically correct word. It has been bastardized. That's the actual word.
So I love the fact that you even spoke about taking it to courts, because that was even my next line of question. That what's the way forward now? If Lagos State is deciding not to, have that peaceful resolution about this, migrating the people into the civil service, into the mainstream, what's the way forward? How can they still get their demands met?
Well, they are on the negotiating table. Let them negotiate with government, and they should negotiate from the position of strength. Make all their demands clear, and ensure that government meets all of their demands. I can tell you for a fact that that the staff in these various media organizations are not even the minimum wage you are talking about. They are not even within that structure. The increment in minimum wage, they are not even enjoying it. I can tell you for a fact, because it's an area that I've carried out research. It's an area that I've investigated. They are not even part and parcel, they are not even part and parcel of the new minimum wage which you talk about. They are not even part and parcel of the minimum wage which you have spoken about in the past. They are left like an orphan, and it is unfortunate. Look, the best thing for government to do, this thing can be resolved with one meeting. It's just changing the rules. Changing the rules. When the rules, was it the State House of Assembly that made provisions for example, I give you, that the Ministry of Information, like what we used to know it to be changed from Ministry of Information and Strategy? Was it the State House of Assembly? Was it the State House of Assembly that said that Ministry of Education should be broken from Ministry of Education to Ministry of Basic Education, Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, and then Ministry of Tertiary Education, that you now have 2 commissioners for education in Lagos State? You can go on and on and on. When it suits us, we know how to make rules to suit us politically. But when it doesn't suit us, we know how to use rules to stifle growth, development, and change in organizations that we need development and change in. It's unfortunate, but this thing needs to be addressed.
Yeah, most definitely. I hope that it's addressed. I hope that the demands are met, and there's a successful, keyword here is successful, resolution at the end of the day, whereby nobody needs to go on strike, nobody needs to go on to the courts rather, and everybody just comes to the table, put their demands there, and they are being met. Anyways, we have to wrap up this segment here. We want to say thank you so much for coming, Jide. It's always a pleasure having you on our show. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. All right, we've been speaking with Jide Johnson. He's a public affairs analyst, and we've just been looking at the fact that Lagos State government has urged the media professionals in that sector to ensure that they do not go on strike. Hopefully, all of their demands would be met and there would be a successful resolution between both parties. We'll go on a short break now. When we return, we'll be looking at our next hot topic, and this one talks about inflation, whereby the commodity of prices commodity are likely to remain high amid persistent pressures. Please stay with us.